Indeed. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for this chit chat this evening, and also warm greetings to those of you watching later on through the video. We've had a request this evening from Brother Abhinav, great to see you, for a morally, and it's a good system actually if any of you want us to focus on a morally and we could have a chit chat on it, you can always just send that across. And I know that the topic that you want to discuss, Abhinav, is around gratitude and thanks, so it's an interesting one. Also, I think the topic would be, what can we ask Baba for and what can we not ask Baba for? So I think that's another slightly confusing topic for Brahmins, and it's worth us discussing. And I put the morally in the group, so you'd all have a copy if you'd like to follow along. But I'll hand over to Ranjan Ben, I think, firstly, to take us through the morally, and then we'll have plenty of time to chit-chat after that.
Om Shanti, everyone. Happy New Year. I hope you had a good day. So I'll start with the Murli because it's fairly long, but if you don't understand or if you ask, could they ask in between the Murli?
Sure.
So you can ask in between in case afterwards you forget or something, and then otherwise you can ask. I will have some time for afterwards as well. So, but feel free to ask if you. So I'll just start reading now. Om Shanti. Can you hear? Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the Murli of 12th November 2025. So that becomes last year. Yesterday we said goodbye. We said goodbye to the old year, 25. So 12th November 2025. Essence, sweet children, you know that this drama is a play. Therefore, it is not a question of giving thanks. The question is, which habit should serviceable children not have at all? Answer, the habit of asking for something. You do not need to ask the Father for blessings or mercy, etc. You must not ask anyone for money. It is better to die than to ask for something. You know that according to the drama, those who sowed a seed in the previous cycle will do so again. Those who want to create high status for the future will definitely do that. They will definitely be cooperative. Your duty is to do service. You must not ask anyone for anything. It is on the path of devotion, not on the path of knowledge, that you ask for things. And the song is, the heart says thank you to the one who has given me support. I think it's in Hindi, it's mujhko sahara dene wale. Om Shanti. You children mustn't say thank you to the father, teacher or guru because you children know that this is a predestined play. It is not a question of saying thank you. You children understand this according to the drama. The word drama enters the intellects of you children. As soon as you say the word play, the whole play enters your intellects. That is, you souls become Swa-darshan Chakradhari. I'm sure you know this word, the spinner of the discus of self-realization. Swa means self, darshan means vision of the self done, and Chakradhari means to spin the discus. The three worlds are in your intellects. The incorporeal world, the subtle region, and the corporeal world. You know that the play is now coming to an end. The Father comes and makes you Trikal Darshi, knower of three aspects of time. Tri means three, Kal means the time, and Darshi, knower. He comes and gives you the knowledge of the three aspects of time, the three worlds, and the secrets of the beginning, the middle, and the end of the world. Time is referred to as Kal. You will not be able to remember these things without nothing, without noting them down. I'll repeat it. You will not be able to remember these things without noting, writing them down. You children forget many points. You know the duration of the drama. It is when you receive the third eye of knowledge that you become Tri-Netri and Trikal Darshi. So Tri-Netri is the one who has the third eye opened, and Trikal Darshi, three aspects of time, knower of them. The most important thing is that you become theists. Otherwise, you are orphans. You children are receiving this knowledge. The intellects of students are constantly churning knowledge. This too is knowledge. So, Baba says when you're studying in the university or college, intellects churns things of the knowledge. But here also, in Baba's knowledge, this too is knowledge. The highest on high Father gives you this knowledge according to the drama. Only from your lips does the word drama emerge. In that too, it is also only from the children who are engaged in doing service. You now know that you are orphans. Now that you have found the unlimited Father, the Master, you belong to the Lord and Master. Previously, you were unlimited orphans. The unlimited Father is the one who gives you unlimited happiness. No other Father can give such happiness. You children have the new world and the old world in your intellects. However, you have to busy yourselves in the spiritual business of explaining accurately to others. Everyone has their own circumstances. Only those who stay on the pilgrimage of remembrance will be able to explain. It is by having remembrance that you receive power. The Father is the powerful sword. You children have to fill yourselves with power. You attain sovereignty over the world with the power of yoga. You receive power through yoga, not through knowledge. It is explained to you children that knowledge is your source of income. Yoga is said to be power. That is the difference of day and night. Is yoga better or is knowledge better? Baba has put a question mark and you can give your answer in your mind. Yoga is very well known. Yoga means remembrance of the Father. The Father says, your sins will be cut away by having this remembrance. It is this that the Father emphasizes. Knowledge is easy. God speaks, I tell you, easy knowledge. That is, Shiva speaks. Baba tells us easy knowledge. I tell you the knowledge of the cycle of 84 births. Everything is included in this. It is history and geography. So Baba mentioned the picture up above. So which is geography and which is history? You know, three worlds, and then of course the knowledge is history, and the geography is three worlds. Knowledge and yoga are of just a second. I am a soul and I have to remember the Father. This requires effort. When you stay on the pilgrimage of remembrance, it is as though you forget your body. If you were to sit in the stage of being bodiless for even an hour, you would become so pure. When people go to sleep at night, they become bodiless for 6 to 8 hours. At that time, they don't perform sinful actions. Souls become tired and go to sleep. It isn't that their sins are absolved. No, that is sleep. No sins are performed. If they don't go to sleep, they continue to commit sins. So sleep is also a protection. Having worked all day, the soul says, I am now going to sleep and become bodiless. You have to become bodiless while in the body. I, as soul, am detached from this body. So Baba is teaching us a commentary, how to have this commentary or churning in your mind or intellect. I am an embodiment of peace. So I, as soul, even while listening, we can practice. I, as soul, am detached from this body. I am an embodiment of peace. You would never have heard this praise of a soul. A soul is the truth, a living being and an embodiment of peace. The praise of the Supreme Soul is the truth and the living being. So Shiv Baba is the Sat Chit Anand Swarup, the truth and the living being. He is the ocean of peace and happiness. You are called masters. Children too are called masters. The Father continues to show you ways to have remembrance. It isn't that you have a sleep. It isn't that you have to sleep the whole day. No, you have to stay in remembrance and have your sins absolved. Continue to remember the Father as much as possible. It isn't that the Father has mercy for you or gives you blessings. No, He is being called the merciful Emperor. Is just His praise. In the bhakti or in everybody falls in, oh merciful Father, come, or merciful Emperor, is just His praise. To make you Satopradhan, and that is the highest total purity in every way. From Tamopradhan is also His part. So He makes us Satopradhan from Tamopradhan. Devotees sing His praise, but you don't do that anymore, and this is why the songs are being gradually stopped. Do they sing songs in school? Children sit in silence. As soon as the teacher comes, they stand up. Then they sit down again. The Father says, I have been given the part of teaching you, and so I have to teach you. There is no need for you, children, to stand up. You souls have to sit and listen. Your ways are completely different from those of the world. Would a father ask his children to stand up? Baba says, no. You do that on the path of devotion, not here, not in Baba's school or university or Baba's home. The Father himself stands up and says, Namaste. If students come to school late, the teacher punishes them by making them stand outside. This is why students are afraid of not arriving on time. Here there is no question of fear. The Father continues to explain to you and you continue to receive murlis. You have to study them regularly. When you study them regularly, you receive a present mark. Otherwise, you will be given an absent mark. The Father says, I tell you very deep points. If you miss a murli, you will miss those points. These are new aspects which no one in the world knows. When they see your pictures, they are amazed. These are not mentioned in any scriptures. Means Baba's pictures are cycle and that is a kalpa tree, etc. All those pictures, they are amazed. Baba says. So these are not mentioned in any scriptures. God creates these pictures. This is your new art gallery. This will sit in the intellects of those of the Brahmin clan who are to become deities. They will say, this is right. We studied this in the previous cycle. Therefore, it is definitely God who is teaching us. The Gita is the number one scripture of the scriptures of the path of devotion. Because this is why is Gita is number one? Because this is the first religion. And also in the world, although they say Gita Mata and they celebrate Gita Jayanti also after Shiv Jayanti, because Baba's knowledge is Gita, real Gita. So this is why, because this is the first religion, then much later, after half the cycle, many other scriptures appear. First, Abraham came. Now Baba is turning the cycle, Yeah. So he was alone. Then there were 2 from 1. And then there were 4 from 2. So it was the Islam and then Buddhism. First the Islam, Buddhism.
I think what I'm saying is that within the religion is initially the founder and then grows like a tree.
I hope they heard it. So then there were 2 from 1 and then there were 4 from 2. When a religion grows to 100,000 or 150,000, its scriptures, etc. are created. It is when the religion has half grown that its scriptures are written. There is a proper calculation. You children should have a great deal of happiness. We are receiving our inheritance from the Father. You know that the Father is explaining the knowledge of the whole world cycle to you. We get it directly, and that's what Baba means. We get it directly. Like even Bible wasn't written until and after 400 years by Baba says, mentions in some murlis. So this is what Baba means. Then their followers come and then it expands. Whereas here in Baba gives us directly. And we are not followers, we are his children. We have relationship. This is unlimited history and geography. Father is explaining the knowledge of the whole world cycle to you. This is unlimited history and geography. Tell everyone the history and geography of the world that no one else can teach you is being explained to you. Although others can show you a map of the world, they can't show you when or for how long it was the kingdom of Lakshmi and Narayan. There is just one world. Satyug will be only one world. They ruled in Bharat, but they no longer exist there. These things are not in anyone's intellect. They say that the duration of the cycle is hundreds of thousands of years. Baba doesn't give you sweetest children much difficulty. The father says, you have to become pure. You have been stumbling along for so long on the path of devotion in order to become pure. You now understand that it has been 2,500 years since you started stumbling. So half the cycle we have been stumbling, and now Baba found us and we are on Sangam Yuga. Baba has now come once again to give you your fortune of the kingdom. You remember this. The world definitely becomes new from old and old from new. You are now the masters of old Bharat, and you are becoming the masters of the new one. So it is appropriate, Muli, today is the new Baba, said Navyug, new world for us. On the one hand, they sing a lot of praise of Bharat, and on the other hand, they also continue to defame Bharat. You have this song. You can explain about what is happening now. Let people hear both these songs. You can show the contrast between the time of the kingdom of Rama, God, and this time. The Father is the Lord of the poor. Only daughters of the poor will come to Baba. The wealthy have their own intoxication. Those who came in the previous cycle will do so again. There is nothing to worry about. Shiv Baba doesn't have to worry about anything. It is Dada who has to, Dada, that is our big brother Baba calls Brahma Baba, his more big child, means the very high, first child, big child. So in Marathi and Bengali, and they call Dada to the big brother. And Dada is the grandfather. Whereas, in Gujarati we say Dada and to grandfather, but in Sindhi and Marathi they call Dada to the big brother, and Dada is the grandfather. So Shiv Baba doesn't have to worry about anything. It is Dada, that is Brahma Baba, who has to worry. He has his own worry of becoming the number one pure soul. This requires incognito effort. When you write your chart, you can understand that this one's effort is greater. The Father always says, keep a diary. They used to call journal or diary. Many children do write a diary, and they have made a lot of improvement by writing a chart. This is why Baba says, keep your subtle chart, do a lot of subtle checking. It was today, wasn't it, about the karma? And because then you can progress. The keeping chart is important. And so Baba says that when you write your chart, you can understand that this one's effort is greater. The Father always says, keep a diary. Many children do write a diary, and they have made a lot of improvement by writing a chart. This method is very good. Therefore, everyone should do this. You will benefit a great deal by keeping a diary. To keep a diary means to remember the Father. You have to write in it how much you remember the Father. So Baba is guiding us what kind of a chart, how to write a chart. So how much you remember the Father, the diary will help you very much in making effort. Many hundreds of thousands of diaries are printed for you to note these things down. This is the main thing to note down. You must never forget this. Write it in your diary at the time. Write your full account at night. You will then realize that you are going into loss because you still have to have your sins of many births burnt away. The Father shows you the way. Have mercy for yourselves. A teacher teaches you. He doesn't give you blessings. It is better to die than to ask for blessings or mercy, etc. You mustn't ask anyone for money. You children are strictly forbidden to do that. The Father says, according to the drama, those who sowed a seed in the previous cycle and claimed their inheritance will do so again on their own. You mustn't ask anyone for anything for any task. If someone doesn't do anything, he won't receive anything. When people make a lot of donations and perform a lot of charity, they receive something in return. They take birth to a king or a wealthy family. Those who want to do something will do it by themselves. They don't need to ask anyone. Whatever they did in the previous cycle, the drama will inspire them to do the same. There is no need to ask for anything. Baba continues to tell you that the treasure store will continue to be filled for service. I am not going to ask the children to give me money. That is, Shiv Baba never asks us for money. The things of the path of devotion must not continue on the path of knowledge. Those who helped in the previous cycle will continue to do so again. You yourselves mustn't ever ask for anything. So in this paragraph, Baba said that so many times. You must not ask for anything. Baba says, children, you are not allowed to collect money. It is sannyasis who do that. Whatever small amount people give on the path of devotion, they receive the return of that for one birth. Here it is for birth after birth. Therefore, it is good to give everything in this birth and to receive the return of it for birth after birth. That one's name is the innocent Lord of the treasure store. So, Shiv Baba. So, in Hindi it says Shiv Bhola Bhandari. So, that means Shiv Baba's name is the innocent Lord of the treasure store, Bhola Bhandari. Make effort and you can be threaded in the rosary of victory. When the treasure stores are full, all sorrow and suffering is removed. There is never untimely death there. Means in Satyug we don't have accidents or any. So therefore, no untimely death. Here people are afraid of death. As soon as something happens, they remember death. You don't have such thoughts there because you will be in the land of immortality. This is why Baba stresses so much and underlines certain points that make effort in the Sangam Yuga. Everything depends now. This is why Baba gives us so many methods and points out, underlines. So, this is you don't have such thoughts there, means remembering death, because you will be in the land of immortality, Amarpuri. This is the dirty land of death. Bharat was the land of immortality, and it is now the land of death. The second half of cycle has been very dirty for you. So, it's as soon as after Copper Age, we had, it went gradually down and we can see the situation, status the world is in. So Baba says now, It is the dirty land of death. Bharat was the land of immortality, and it is now the land of death. The second half cycle has been very dirty for you. You have continued to come down. They have many dirty idols in the Jagannath temple, that is Orissa. Baba is experienced. He has traveled everywhere. So I think it is in Northeast. He has become ugly from beautiful. He understands. Baba has experienced. Baba is experienced. That is Dada Lekhraj. You know how he went everywhere. He went everywhere throughout the India for pilgrimage. And so he's very experienced. He has traveled everywhere. He has become ugly from beautiful. Sham, ugly is Sham, from beautiful Sundar. Beautiful is Sundar. He used to live in a little village. In fact, the whole of Bharat is a little village. You are village urchins. You now understand that you are becoming the masters of the world. Don't think that you are residents of Bombay, Mumbai. What is Bombay compared to heaven? Nothing at all, not even worth a stone. We village urchins who became orphans are now becoming the masters of heaven. Therefore, let there be that happiness. So Baba is giving us a point how to remain happy and what to churn. No negative. Whatever you can. There was, sorry about this. So Baba said nothing, Bombay was not even worth a stone. We village urchins who became orphans are now becoming the masters of heaven. Therefore, let there be that happiness. The very name is heaven. The palaces are studded. The palaces are studded with so many diamonds and jewels. The Somnath temple too was studded with diamonds and jewels. First of all, they built a temple to Shiva. They were so wealthy. Bharat now is a small village. In the golden age, it was very prosperous. No one in the world except you knows these things. You say, yesterday we were emperors and today we are beggars. We are once again becoming the masters of the world. You children should appreciate your fortune and be grateful. We are multi-million times fortunate. Acha, so we all can say to the sweet Baba, first receive the remembrance from Baba, to the sweetest, beloved, long lost, and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bapdada. The spiritual father says, Namaste to the spiritual children, and we children say Namaste to the spiritual father. Essence for dana. Number 1, in order to be saved from committing sin, make effort to become bodiless while in your body. Stay on the pilgrimage of remembrance in such a way that you forget your own body. Number 2, churn knowledge and become theists. Never miss a murli. In order to make progress, note down your chart of remembrance in your diary. And the blessing, may you be yukti yukt. In bracket it explains, become filled with wisdom. Yukti, may you be yukti yukt. And Jivan Mukt, that is liberated in life. So this is very appropriate because from today, this month now, the Avyak signals are on liberate Jivan Mukti and Jivan Mukti. So to become free from burden and become free liberation in life now. May you be Yukti Yukt, that is become filled with wisdom, and Jivan Mukt, liberated in life by using spiritual power in every act. And then the explanation of the blessing is, the speciality of this Brahmin life is spirituality. It is only with the power of spirituality that you can transform yourself and others. With this power, you receive liberation from many physical bondages. However, in order to be yukti yukt, and instead of becoming loose in every act, use spiritual power. Experience the power of spirituality at the same time in your thoughts, words, and deeds, so simultaneously. Those who are yukti yukt in all three aspects become jivan mukt. And in bracket it explains, liberated in life is jivan mukt. And the slogan is, with the speciality of truth, continue to experience happiness and power. With the speciality of truth, continue to experience happiness and power. And the Avyak signal is, increase the practice of the bodiless stage, in bracket, ashariri, that is bodiless, and then videhi. So you might explain that, the difference, ashariri and videhi. Videhi is another stage, explain, so perhaps explain later. Or if you can share, if you know the difference between ashariri and videhi. Videhi. Ashariri is bodiless. So, Avyak signal, increase the practice of the bodiless stage, and then it says ashariri and videhi. Whatever circumstances come or are to come, they require a lot of practice of the bodiless stage. Therefore, put aside everything else and even stop thinking, perhaps this will happen, perhaps this will happen, what will happen. Now increase, Baba says, now increase the practice of the bodiless stage. No circumstances or any type of upheaval can influence children who have a bodiless stage. Acha, Om Shanti.
If you'd like to start us off. Start us off then. So I think there were some interesting points there. Good to hear the Morley again, actually. It was a reminder of some things. And in terms of bodilessness, it was that month, wasn't it, where we had those points on bodilessness every day. And I quite liked Baga's metaphor for explaining what was bodilessness. He was saying that just like when you're asleep, you forget everything around you. So he was saying that's got to be an aim when you sit in remembrance. Can you sit and forget your body and the bodily world. And he was saying that if you can do that for 1 hour, you'll become very pure. So that's another good target for us. But I think that was helpful to know what is the feeling of bodilessness. You can understand it theoretically, but it means just like when we're asleep, we're not aware of anything that's going on. That's the type of experience we should have. And then I understood the not asking for things at 2 levels, but one was subtly, and the other was more practically. And as you all know, usually religious organizations will have some sort of collection, and also people fundraise quite a lot anyway for charities. But Baba doesn't want the BKs to be focused on that in that way. So we become like a fundraising type of approach. Because what Bab is saying is that he wants us to keep that royalty. Let's do as much as we can, give as much as we can. But otherwise, should Baba will make sure that his yagya keeps going. So we can have faith in that. He wants us to just give without worrying. He doesn't want us to be transaction. This person gave, so we gave. But we should just be available and give and so, and let Baba worry about whether other people give or not. And then the more subtle one is the one to really think about. Because Baba's saying you shouldn't ask Baba either for help or the other side. Baba tells us he's our companion. If we don't ask him, who do we ask? He is our one strength and one support. So that's definitely something for us to think about. I have 2 thoughts on that. The first one is knowing when to ask. So some of you joined me for the early Amrit Velas, but otherwise many of you have Amrit Vela at your own time, and I know you listen to the commentaries or have your own commentary. And my understanding is, so Amrit Vela is the time for blessings. And Baba makes his blessings available to us at that time. I'm certainly heavily dependent on that. So over a period of time, I just made sure that I keep taking that blessing every morning that I may feel. And I've certainly seen my life get easier, things get better, and I just give all the credit to those Amrit Vela blessings. And then the other part of it, I think, is also our own spiritual maturity. There's a brother who was a Motherdan for many years called Brother Ranwich, and he left his body last year. And I'd had a few opportunities to chit-chat with him in Motherdan. And he was sharing that when he was about 10 years with Baba in the early 80s, they still had the opportunity to meet Baba personally at least once per year. And you could ask Baba in those days some things. So he asked Baba, how come you're not helping me as much as you used to? So it was about 10 years with Baba at that point. And he was thinking back to how much easier maybe when he was a newer BK. And what answer do you think Baba would have given? Baba gave the metaphor of a small child. and he said that when you have a small child, a parent will keep them in their lap, even put them on their shoulders, carry them around. But once the child gets older, and if you think even a 10-year-old child, you wouldn't do that, would you? They wouldn't allow you to do it either, but you wouldn't do it in that way. So Baba was saying that it just doesn't look good as you grow up. And much more about becoming independent. And then, of course, as you get even older, you've got to have your own income, your own place, your own independence in that way. But I would certainly say for me, my relationship with Baba changed over the years, and it will continue to change. Like other than Aramatema. Because why I don't is in front of me, I just have Baba's face. But if I ask for anything, I just feel Baba would say to me, well, why didn't you have yoga for? That it just wouldn't fit. But I'm asking Baba. I think Baba would say, well, make your own efforts. You've had all this sustenance, you've got all this knowledge. Why is your yoga not enough to achieve this? And on Sunday, Baba was saying to the double foreigners, not Sunday, on the Wednesday video moment yesterday, and Baba was saying to the double foreigners that he wants us to focus on making efforts over a long period of time. And there's a great deal of importance on doing something regularly and doing it over a period of time. We can be a bit in a convenience culture, and as devotees, even when we ask God for things, it's like we feel like we don't have to do that much, or we just went and took some fruit, and now God should give us a lot more. Like we've done God a favor, and now He should give us a favor back. And it becomes like a business connection. So we've got to move right away from all of that with Baba. And as I say, my experience is it's all about our study, our accumulation. I just feel that Baba would expect from me to do it. And I think that if I do it, He will help me. And I won't have the feeling that I did it. I'll have the feeling that He did it. But I wouldn't ask Him for things. I would just stay in remembrance. What's the point in asking? It's the remembrance that I'm doing. It'll be using the virtues. He's taught me the virtues. What did He teach me this morning? Now think about that. Put that into practice. And that generosity is linked with that. And one thing I noted that Baba said to the daddies in the video movie yesterday was that they were very good at being generous. And I had a lot of experience with this. My experience of the daddies and the dadas of the early yajna is that they were very relationship focused. They gave a lot of importance to friendship and relationships. I think we, as Brahmins of this generation, maybe do that less. Don't have constant yoga. And so what happens is we either get absorbed in people or we're absorbed in Baba. And we find it more difficult, I think, to have both. Janki had developed constant yoga with Shubhaya, but yet she was very relationship focused, like very interested in you, and the relationship with you really mattered to me. And not just so, I found it with dadas and daddies that I knew. So what I was saying is that they wouldn't necessarily give up on someone. Someone is failing at something, someone is struggling. They wouldn't. They wouldn't see how that would end a relationship or affect your relationship. Their view would be whatever's going on, the relationship was important. The communication, the interaction, being together, doing it together. They didn't see anything wrong with helping each other. So there's a generosity. And what Banu was saying was that these daddies were able to do that because they didn't hold anything in their heart. And that's that generosity. So those are my takes on that. Abhinav, I wonder if you wanted to come in as well.
Shanti. That feedback is so contributing. The feedback I'm hearing.
You're, in terms of hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me mute myself, see if that's any better.
Sure. Yeah, that's much better, Om Shanti. Yes, brother, I appreciate what you shared. That was very valuable. I think this Murli was, for me, a very clear understanding on intent, because normally an intent has some sort of return. And so one's actions of having intent has some sort of reciprocation depending on the sort of action that we are performing. And so I can understand why when you're a deity soul, there is really no intent because you are naturally giving. And so one can understand even in all your relationships in your being, it's just a way of being, and that's giving. And I understand to some extent what Babu is trying to explain, that I'm here for you. But like you said, it requires a little bit of maturity to be able to understand what is it like to be spiritually mature. And spiritually mature means to understand
We don't think these words for bodilessness in different ways. In Hindi, the same word, bodiless, can be used Ashariri, Videhi, Nirakari. There's many. So I've always understood it as Ashariri, brother's back. So back to you, Abhinav.
things. Sorry, I normally have an automatic switch off on the phone to make sure I don't have anything after a certain time. So that kicked in at this point. But yes, my understanding of thank you, and I think gratitude is from what I understand, is an understanding that everything you have, there's an appreciation. And I think why I always confused about when to say thank you was because I I see gratitude is not one of the 36 divine virtues. I understand that appreciation is probably the closest thing to gratitude. And so this feeling that, do I say thank you with an understanding that it's coming from a natural space rather than an intentional space. I've been questioning at what point, if I'm having difficulty, to ask for help. Because if you're doing this for a while now, and you kind of know the answers are in the Murli, what is it that I'm not understanding, and what is it that I'm not, you know, conceiving to a point where I need to move a little bit forward. And sometimes, understanding and churning happens when you're putting in that amount of efforts. But if you are slowly just trying to balance your time to see where you can progress, it makes sense that if you have karma and you're feeling the extent of the karma, the effort is not proportionately in line with understanding the karmic return of all these births that we've accumulated and need to be settling. And so I noticed when I did reach out for help, and these 9 months or so that I've been sitting with you with Amritwela, yes, the shift was very slow and the accounts were there, but what was happening is you were not feeling it anymore. It seems like as if you were so detached that you finally understood. At times, some aspects of knowledge becomes a little bit vague, and then you just sit and think, okay, give yourself some time, and you will eventually figure it. But if certain things are pertinent, you'd ask, like in this regard. Um, but I really wanted to ask your take on gratitude because I do believe that it's something that's natural. I always say thank you to anyone that I meet for their time and for their presence. But I'm beginning to also understand that if you're naturally giving, is it actually necessary? Om Shanti.
Yeah, thank you for that thoughtful contribution. So, I think my take on it would be that there's a phrase which comes up in the morally sometimes, and particularly when I was at the London Centre, it was something that would come up a lot in this was giving a return for the sustenance. It's this feeling that we receive so much sustenance, we should have that gratitude, and it seems to be connected with gratitude. And the way Baba has taken it up, I can remember it was in one of the 18th January moments. And at that time, there was still quite a lot of people who had taken Brahmavada's sustenance in the corporeal form. So I want to give a return. But even if it wasn't in the corporeal, all of us have received a lot of sustenance. And what Baba said was that to give a return means to turn yourself. The thing is, how useful is gratitude unless it's really having an effect on a general human level? most of us are grateful towards our caregivers, teachers, and so on. But often we can forget about that. Sometimes we can take it for granted. We will have some opportunity to do something for them. But generally speaking, the amount that's done for us when we were children, we're not really able to give that return back on the usual. So when it comes to Baba, how do you give Baba the return? Because he's someone who doesn't need us. I've been thinking about giving a return. And then, of course, as you all know, we had a lot of sustenance directly from Devi Janki. So there will be, there is a narrative among many Brahmins that we should have that gratitude and we should be looking to give a return to them. I've come to the conclusion that we cannot give a return to them because they don't need us. And that it's not about giving back, but it's about passing forwards, passing on. So I no longer view gratitude as giving back to the person for the sustenance. Now,
Sorry, Shayan, the mic is
it's
touching,
not,
and the voice is not coming through clearly. I'm
it's
not
not
sure.
it's not so clear. Is that clearer?
Yeah, it's not coming through clearly.
Okay.
It's touching a bit.
Is that a bit better?
I think just speak and then I'll give you back.
Okay. Let's try. So one of the things that has become clearer for me is that we have to pass on and pass forwards rather than give back. Now, where we have responsibilities, we have to fulfill that. So it's not about that. If we have to look after parents, look after children, from the morally, Baba always tells us to do those things. But when it comes to Baba, when it comes to the Devis, other Brahmins as well, they don't really need us, do they? They've got Baba, they're already full. And so my view on gratitude is it's about passing on rather than giving back. That can be, it can be like where a certain person needs us at a particular time, but I think it can just be more generally. So, for example, when we were younger, maybe other people were contributing money to the center, let's say. So in my example, I was a child when my mother became a So at that time, I was not contributing any money, but I was eating Brahma Bhojan, I was receiving a lot of sustenance. Now I'm older, maybe those people who were contributing at that time, they might have even left their body now. And definitely most of them would be old, they're no longer contributing. So it's just my turn, isn't it? Like, it's not a big thing. I don't need to think I'm giving back to someone. It's just passing on, keeping things going. This center needs to keep going for the next generation. It was there for me when I was growing up, let it be there for others. Madhuban, we've all taken benefit from Madhuban. And we need to keep Madhuban going, don't we, for future generations. So I see that as just passing on rather than giving back. And when it comes to Baba's knowledge, all of you know that you're receiving basically the study I received. And this is the motive behind doing these things, recording these things. And I was remembering back how when I was 16 years old, I was beginning my efforts at that time. And Lady Janki said to me one time that she had sat with Baba and asked Baba, why is it that this soul has been reborn at the London Centre? She felt that I was a BK in my past life. And she said that the feeling she got from Baba was that in the future, this soul will show the beauty of the London class to others. That meant, at that time, that every day I get the chance to share with you the things I learned. So I'm just conscious of passing on this study, passing on the learning, passing on the stories, passing on the example. So I feel that's more important than gratitude. Avinal, do you want to come back on that?
Thank you. No, I agree that it makes a lot of sense in terms of where you're coming from. Um, it's understandable to an extent that when you're doing your charts and you actually letting Baba know where you're at, that process of sharing with Baba is allowing you to grow to the point where you can give it forward. Otherwise, it's like I'm writing with an aim of, okay, this is how far I can get to. Is there any way, Baba, you can help me to get to the next point or get to the next part of this? I'm battling with this, but this is where I'm coming through. I get it. To ask Baba for some help is not necessary if you're with him all the time. If you're constantly in remembrance with him and you're reading them only that many times, you just have to be patient with yourself to understand that certain sanskars are going to take some time. And rather than, write it down and say, okay, this is where I'm at, this is what I can do. Let's just see how we can work together so that if I just focus on giving it forward, whatever I've learned so far, let's help everybody else, whether it's Mansa Seva, whether it's spinning the discus, whether it's just charitable thoughts. Let's see what we can do to pay it forward. And then at some point it'll click. And that's my understanding from what you're saying is that I do remember once Lady Janaki had went onto stage and told Baba, Baba, some of these double foreigners are still coming here and taking. And I looked at that like quite confused because normally when you come to Madhaban, you do take, you know. But I get it. Some of us take as much as they can to get to a point where you realize you don't need anything anymore. Some can do it almost instantaneously. Some can do it in a short period of time. I think it's taken me a very long time to figure it out. Very appreciative of the fact that I can get to this point. Most people would just bail out at some point. And so understanding at this point in one's life, where exactly can you just be patient and tolerant with your sanskars that are holding you down, and just say, just keep forward and move along and understand the answers will lie in the Murli. And so being in a state of soul consciousness is a state of constant giving. Yes, some sanskars are going to say, but I would like or I would appreciate it if, but then you'd have to be able to detect it at some point that it's not really a Sata Pradhan attitude. An attitude of constantly being in a state of giving doesn't require that amount of gratitude. The gratitude, like you said, doesn't come from Baba, but in your beingness.
Yes, so thank you, brother. I understand what you're saying. So I feel that it's not taking you a long time. Um, I think that it's quite normal for us all to have growth. I don't think it's taking longer generally. It's more about having consistent study, consistent Amrit Vela over a period of time. And so I think that you should be patient definitely with yourself. My observation is that I think the Brahmin family is generally doing very well. There's a large number of Brahmins who are consistent over a period of time, and definitely they will get there. I think one difference may be between myself and some of the narratives that I hear within the Brahmin family. I think certainly some centers are a little bit more focused on weaknesses than others. So, like you're saying, that you might look at your sanskars and ask Baba for help. Whereas my tendency would be to look at my strength and ask Baba for help for expanding the strength. And quite a lot within the Brahmin family, there can be a lot of fear towards one's weaknesses. For example, I've been at some centers where there's so much fear of ego, and fear of attachment, fear of some other thing. But I'm not afraid of my weaknesses. I accept my human side and I accept the powerful, knowledgeful side. And confluence means both are me. And over time, by keeping going, the human side will dissipate, and what will be left will be the knowledgeful and powerful side. So I think it's maybe a slight switch there in self-esteem, where it's like looking at the human side as being some sort of obstacle in a sense, but rather, it's half a cycle. And this is only a few years that we're working with Baba. So to be able to change, it's only Baba's magic that we're able to change our own. So I think even when you say be patient with yourself, it's not that patient because you're doing really well in such a short space of time. Be more positive towards you, but maybe everyone is more positive towards others. But certainly with myself, I would say I have a level of contentment which doesn't change. And that now means that I don't need self-esteem boosted, and it's not possible to reduce my self-esteem either. So I think it's an acceptance of the whole and being comfortable in your own skin. Having Shrima so that, like, I will never trust myself fully. I will only trust myself 75% because I know I got all these human characteristics. Why would I trust myself fully? The Shrima gives us boundaries. But then, in terms of what the treasures Baba given me, why should I doubt myself? Let me just be and share and have confidence. Did you want to make any final comments before we start?
No, thank you.
Okay.
That was very, very helpful. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that topic. Let's finish off just with a few minutes of Baba's remembrance. Champagne. Happy New Year and good evening. To those of you watching later in the video as well, Happy New Year. Champagne. Thanks, Avinal. Thanks a lot.